All right, good afternoon. I hope everyone can hear me. I hope everyone is feeling fine and a-okay for today. In just a few minutes, at exactly 3 p.m., our first session of the webinar BIM for Interior Design, Introduction to BIM and Practices will be starting. You know, guys, it's so great to have these convenient webinars given our current situation. You can absorb a lot of information at just a click of a button, just at the reach of your fingertips. And looking here overall, we have a total of 944 attendees for all of our 3 sessions so far. For today, we have 491 participants coming from all over. We have attendees from up north, from Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Baguio, and even down south to Cebu and Davao. We actually also have quite a few who signed up from abroad as well. And that's just mind blowing to me how we were all able to get the word around. While other attendees are coming in at the last minute, I'd like to welcome everyone to the online edition of Paperspace Philippines Knowledge Series this 2020. We'll talk about what Paperspace is in just a short minute. So, okay, a little bit later, we'll be having a question and answer segment after our speaker presents, but throughout the webinar, you can actually just leave a question via our dedicated Q&A button below. All of the questions will be answered, so don't worry. If we don't get to answer it live today, we'll be sending our speakers answers to your questions via email. So for today's webinar, just to give you a quick rundown on what we'll be tackling. So 1, it's BIM, its overviews and implementations. 2, how to stay ahead with BIM. 3, the practices for different trades and disciplines. And 4, the interior design project stages and utilizing BIM. So we've designed this webinar to be essentially a major introduction to BIM to those who haven't tackled this yet, and also serves as a quick crash course for those who are already familiar with it. After today, there's going to be a quick overview of next week's BIM webinar, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, it's almost at 3 p.m., so give it a minute. Let's get started. I hope everybody here is already settled and comfortable. So to kick things off, and to tell you more of what Paperspace is and what to expect, I'll be handing it off to Paperspace Philippines Project Director, our very own IDR, Karen Kalalek.
Thanks, Noah. Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. Thanks, Noah, for the introduction and welcome, everybody. I'm here to give you a quick look at who we are at Paperspace and what we do, as well as give an overview of the whole BIM for interior design sessions and future courses. Paperspace is a collective of specialized interior architectural consulting with registered office in Northland in India. You can think of us as a group of professionals coming together with one goal: to form a community by sharing our passion in design, as well as to learn, to grow, and support each other in order to continuously deliver amazing projects. This is our stat sheet to show our regional presence and snapshots of doing what we love with the people we trust. It makes us proud to see our hard work coming to fruition with the successful completion and delivery of over 10 million square footage of interior design projects since 20. Here we find a snapshot of our talented collective members all throughout the region. And as part of Paperspace culture, we are always open to collaborative work and have always provided platforms for continuous learning. We are very excited to have you here to join us on one of our knowledge series where we hope that you will have fun learning. You are now in session 1 of BIM, or Building Information Modeling for Interior Design. And you have to remember that this is just an introduction to give you a better overview of what it is all about. We also hope that whatever level you are in terms of interior design practice, whether you are a student, a professional, or an enthusiast of the subject, we are able to give you insight for you to decide if BIM is one of the tools that you would like to learn, use, and master. Before we start our first session of our three-part series, we would like to formally announce that we will continue to share our expertise on BIM through Mr. Ray Cruz as our expert. These are paid courses to help you learn the Revit tool in detail and make sure that you will have a good foundation and gain confidence in the use of the software. We have prepared 3 modules separated between beginner and course modules to ensure we will be able to acquire a new skills that we can use in our interior design practice. Thank you once again for joining us and hope you have fun learning. Please visit our FB page at Paperspace Philippines and website for more information about Paperspace and our knowledge series at paperspace.asia, or PM us and we will be most happy to assist. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Miss Karen, for letting us know what Paperspace is and what it has in store for us after today's webinar. Moving forward, let me now introduce to you our webinar speaker for the series. Our speaker for today has 14 years of experience in the AEC industry and worked with various consultants and firms. He has operated side by side with contractors and BIM teams for project collaboration, developed systematic workflows, integration of standards and work scope, and other BIM requirements. He provided trainings and skill development under ATC, Autodesk Training Center companies, to upskill contractors and subcontractors in utilizing Revit applications and other digital platforms. He is a bachelor degree holder in architecture, a certified Autodesk Revit architecture and MEP professional, and an ATC certified instructor profound in point cloud to BIM systems. All right, ladies and gents, our speaker for today, Mr. Raimundo P. Cruz from BIM IT. Sir Ray, take it away. All right, Sir Ray, are you set up there?
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Sir Ray.
Hello. Okay. Good afternoon. Again, I'm Raimundo Cruz. You can also call me Ray for short, and I will be your facilitator for today and for also the succeeding session on this webinar, BIM for Interior Design. And I hope after this you will learn a lot and also keep your interest from the upcoming sessions as well. Okay, so for our agenda, develop BIM awareness and system workflows for interior design. Our session will mainly revolve in this main goal. Probably some of you are already aware of BIM or might even have practiced at some point, or for some, this can be a totally new thing. Well, just like the keyword, our agenda which is awareness, we will be able to tackle some important key points, which is very essential in every kind of webinar such as this. What is BIM and how it's currently being practiced in different trades and industry? We'll be discussing also how BIM is being utilized in different stages of the project Things that most probably give you that edge and advantages, especially when you're already participating or practicing this process. How different disciplines such as architecture, structure, and mechanical are taking full advantage of its capabilities, especially in different stages of the project. Here, we will also explore the various potential of BIM when it comes to the interior design field and how it affects and improves our current process from conceptualizing, design development, and up to or during construction phase. And then probably I'll give you an overview for our next session after this. What is BIM, or what we call building information modeling? Take it from the three main keywords, which is building, which refers to our current project, information, or refers to the data that is in our project, and lastly, modeling, that refers to the 3D representation. These components are the main building blocks of the process. So, process in itself. There are a lot of misconceptions out there where you usually hear people say, I'm doing BIM. Like for example, I'm creating a 3D model and probably I'm already using BIM. Or I'm using this new BIM software, probably I'm already been doing it. You have to understand that 3D modeling alone or using a certain platform doesn't automatically make someone who practices BIM. It mainly goes hand in hand with technology and process. For me, since I've already been in this industry for almost, let's say, 14 years, it's like having a relationship with someone. In order to make it work, you need to put an effort, of course, and it usually takes time. Actually, this is not something new. PIM has always been there probably more than 2 decades already, but through the years, it has become a standard. And many countries such as US, UK, Canada, Australia, and other European countries here in Asia like Japan, Singapore, South Korea, India, and other Southeast Asian countries, well, like Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, and a lot among others. And this has been a trend ever since. Project lifecycle. Mainly in this industry, which is design and build, the significant impact of BIM contributes greatly through different stages of the project. From initial designing phase, during the construction stage, and up to the operation of the building itself. BIM is widely used. So from the beginning up to the end, all these stages, you have one integrated project model that can cater each phase. Understanding how these different areas offers new systems and workflows that will enable you to have a better decision making and streamline certain processes, unlike some of the traditional processes that we're currently been using. In the first place, BIM currently being adopted by many countries worldwide. So what's the reason for it? For starters, is for its benefits. The industry sees its potential and how it will give advantage to those who are willing to evolve with it. Just like technology, it's constantly changing and has always been there for us to utilize and adapt. High degree of visualization. So you can see clearly what you intend to build. So that's one big advantage. You're not doing just 2D plans, but you're actually creating a 3D, which is the actual representation or what you intend to build. Collaborate better and faster. Of course, when you visualize, you can see things much more clearly. You can easily make decision making. Early detection of issues and conflicts, especially in the early stages of the project, reduces risks that may encounter as the project time progresses. Okay? So this is one of the main factor that really is one of the key benefits when using BIM, especially to other industries such as in the engineering side. Quick changes and ability causes. Parametric capabilities when updating revision are much faster having a 3D comparison to 2D work processes. So if you have, let's say, a floor plan, rather than just doing it on 2D, you have to edit separate files. But if you have one consolidated 3D model, probably just be working on one single file. Or sometimes it may vary depending on the process and the project you're working on. And lastly, it will all have, because of all the benefits that has been discussed, potential of saving time, effort, and money is great. Okay. Now, as you can see here on my chart display, how the design process progresses, the cost of changes increases, and the ability to influence the design process decreases. The key factor with BIM is its early detection of conflicts and issues that may arise during even the early stages of the project, in comparison to the traditional method in which currently show the impact of later stages. So imagine how much time and cost it would save when when problems are detected and resolved even you start the building phase or before you start the building phase. It adds great value. So that's one of the great things that you would need to consider when using BIM. Now, when you work with a 3D model in BIM, you have information. BIM is simply building your project at the same time, filling in necessary data or information that you will inevitably use as the project progresses. The information will be an essential parameter when you need to make important, let's say, inquiries on your layout, like for example, type of components used, finishes, let's say specifications, systems, etc. Or you can even use it as a way of quantifying for your schedules and covering conciliation during construction. So this is quite essential. For others, they actually haven't been utilizing BIM, although some of the companies that I know usually didn't utilize their platforms by simulate and design analysis, because sometimes process is something you need to learn a lot. From here, actually, with a BIM platform, one of the essential factors during the design phase is simulation and analysis, because technically it's one of the main considerations that affect our decision making during this stage. So some of the platforms like Revit, ArchiCAD has these features. Heating and cooling loads for mechanical can be simulated on the platform or can also be imported to other softwares that has the same that can perform the same task. For project simulation, you can already oversee the actual pacing of the project based on your timeline, whether you are ahead or even below your target schedule. As for architects, site orientation and daylight analysis is a key factor For structural, you have the integrity and stability of the building and other important variables for each trade. For interior designers, some of the considerations that greatly affect their concept is mainly space itself, project orientation, lighting, ventilation, materials, and other necessary elements to achieve their what they call so-called design balance. BIM platforms and other integrated application can help you achieve it. Just like when you started sketching for that perfect schematic design, you need specific tools to accomplish it. Innovations and integration with different technologies with BIM has been widely developed through the past years. Now, It's easier to generate as-built models or make new design development from the existing site or space conditions using laser scanning and photo imagery. Imagine structures that you don't have updated plans or totally no plans at all. Now, with laser scanning, you can generate reference 3D models much faster, which are accurate and show the existing conditions of the site as well. The 3D model using this technology is made out of millions and billions of points, which can cause or which can use a direct reference for producing or even reproducing BIM models, saving you time, effort, and a lot of risk, especially when you're dealing on site. Same with photo imagery for large-scale site surveys. Your your images, it creates stitch images to generate a model. So it's like taking a lot of pictures for each particular area and combining it to generate a 3D model. Way back then, they usually use planes or even helicopters to survey the area. But now, recently, they've been using drones as another means of surveying. So saving preparation time and cost. This is very handy for time-constrained projects, and you need essential site information data, like slopes and other site conditions. Now, one thing that you need to consider when you're working in this industry is how you transfer or share information. Here, sharing information and updates is one of the essential processes that are significant to the industry. The back and forth of transmittals of this information can sometimes cause that delay. You can say that the faster you deliver this information, the faster the collaboration and decision making, which turn saves a lot of time. For site checking to update the production team for any changes in many platforms like cloud and digital twin are very useful tools to cater these kinds of integration for faster review, the latest BIM model against the current site condition, and transfer back to the modelers for their need to updates and marks up through the use of cloud. So this is actually new. One of the new technology that's been adopted. Actually, it's been there before, I think, early 2000. This is called digital twin. Okay, so it's probably around 2002, and thanks to the internet, it has been cost-effective to implement. Quite simply, a digital twin is a virtual model of a process, product, or service. It's not actually a technology that is only based to BIM or construction. It's been widely used. Then the data is evaluated and simulated a virtual copy of the assets to help optimize the performance of actual assets. So by the word itself, digital twin, so you have two copies. You have the actual and you have the virtual. This is widely used now in many industries like manufacturing, let's say automotive, construction, utilities, and also in healthcare. Okay? The pairing of virtual and physical worlds allows analysis of data and monitoring of systems to head off problems before they even occur, prevent downtime, develop new opportunities, and even plan for future by using simulations. Although many countries like UK, US, and Singapore had developed their own BIM standards, different companies had developed different systems and processes. And it's not actually something that I would say you would learn overnight. It's a continuous process. And development, implementation, and standardization also takes time, just like any other new ideas. For me, on my experience, just like I've experienced before in Singapore, I've been to a lot of countries. I also been to Australia, where when you go there, they experience different processes. And then from there, they started to implement these kind of standards. For other trades in the industry, whether you are an interior designer, architect, or an engineer, different practices may sometimes vary, depending on the trade and sometimes work scope as well. When you implement a new system that changes your current workflow, similar to my previous companies, it's usually has a great impact on what you are used to. I always recommend having an open mind is helpful. Imagine if you are one of those people who are for years are used in manual drafting and suddenly the company wanted to shift in using CAD. It's the same experience when you are or when you migrate to BIM. It's a continuous learning process, I always say. In the architectural field, during conceptualization stage, design development and also in construction phase is one of the first disciplines who widely utilize these capabilities. You can generate space area analysis, integrate your schematic model from SketchUp, or even your own hand sketches. And CAD drawings can be used as reference as well to build your BIM model. So even if you're working on your traditional method, you can always apply BIM as well or combine it with the work process. And once you have your model created, you can further develop your 2D plans for your documentation as well as detailing. So it's not just focusing on the 3D, but you can also create your layouts, your plans, shop drawings, and other 2D detailed drawings. It's basically like combining your 3D modeling software and CAD into one platform with all your needed information to build the project. Mostly for structural project, one of the essential uses along with MEPFS or mechanical electrical utilities when it comes to BIM is its capability to resolve conflicts. During the early stages of the project, always remember that you are working in a 3D environment. And the goal is to have your model as an actual representation of your building. So during coordination and collaboration with different stakeholders, it makes it easier for everyone to see the bigger picture and have an efficient way of making vital decisions. Especially during construction phase, one of the issues that most contractors face are resolving clashes. Can you imagine having issues like not enough ceiling space to fit all your utilities, or this giant column or beam obstructing an allotted space for your mechanical equipment? Then what do? You need to revert back to that one designer that usually takes a week or 2 weeks to respond. It's a hassle, especially when you work on site. For me, that is one of my personal experiences. Now, the impact for the designers will be on their current layout, which gives them a lot of revisions. So, of course, we all know that the more revisions you have, the more time and effort you need in your timeline. So, which causes a lot of delay. Okay? Based on the previous graph that I've shown you early on my first few slides, early detection of conflicts creates a great impact when it comes to cost and effort when working different phases of the project. That's why MEPFS trades or mechanical, electrical trade, sanitary trade, it's essential for them to resolve clashes early on when using BIM. Utilizing BIM for interior design. Well, actually, for me, from my personal experience, for interior design, it's not actually the same thing compared to the architecture and MEP work process. It's currently new for this industry. For a lot of companies that I've known, only few have practiced using BIM. For the past few years, interior design industry has started to pick up its pace in the building information modeling race. For most companies, I still know up to date, traditional ways are still being practiced, while some are integrating various softwares and platforms in their system by means of visualization and presentation. But for me, it's not actually utilizing the BIM platform from there. You're just creating 3D and better visualization. So there is always, remember, there is a difference. Architecture and interior design is very much closely related when it comes to certain design processes. Like from the initial stage, you have conceptualization and design development. One in architecture is mainly responsible for the building design, facade, structure, and vital building systems. Interior design, on the other hand, brings more functionality and appeal to the space, which also requires creative and artistic approach. Just like any kind of drawing tools, I consider BIM as an instrument to help designers develop and innovate the way they create, conceptualize, and translate their ideas. Like example, sketching traditionally, CAD drafting, or modeling, using BIM-related application can aid you in creating your schematic layout plans and other drawings. Remember, the technology has always been there, and it's always up to us on how to use it. Okay. For my next presentation, I will be showing you a short demonstration on how to create a conceptual plan using Revit, one of the most common platforms currently used today, to give you a general idea on how to start this phase in the project. Okay. Okay, play. Okay, so here you can see on my screen, I'm using currently Revit. So let's say here you can start your schematic layout directly on the application, or if you already have a sketch plan, you can also use that as a start of your reference or even CAD drawing. So here I'm using a sketch drawing, okay? Because most of the interior design people that I know barely uses CAD as well. So what's much more than using BIM? Okay, so currently on this sketch, I already have my sizes, then probably I'll just resize it to the actual size or to the actual layout that I intended to have, and using my image as my reference. Now let's try to add some walls here. Okay, so as you can see here, just by clicking, I'm working on the plan, but I can already generate the 3D model from another view. So as you work on the 2D, you can see it also in 3D. Okay, so already added some floors or some floor. Okay, let's say add some doors here. Actually, there are some elements here when you install these platforms or softwares. They're already embedded or they're already included some libraries. So you can use them, modify them, or use it to follow your concept or your plan. Okay, maybe let's add some more partition here. Okay. And here on the laundry area, oops. put an exact measurement from this side, the storage, okay. Now let's see, let's clearly on the 3D view. Okay, let's say what else can we put here? Add some more windows here on this side. Okay. Let's put it here. Guys, this is only just an introduction. So for my actual series, I'll be explaining more on how to use the tool. So this is just a demonstration. Okay. Okay, let's add more, some stairs. So this is one of the most complicated things that you have to draw or even model. So here it can be automatically generated. Then let's adjust properly. Okay, put an exact precise clearance. So at least I would have enough spacing when going up. Okay, let's put it here. Check on my 3D view. There, now let's put some furnitures, of course. So since we're using, where some of you are interior designers, so probably you need more or a lot of furnitures. By the way, some of the furnitures here, other than from the default library, you can also download from specific sites. Okay, so there's a lot of manufacturers out there that you can use, or you can find resources. Okay, so now let's try to add a perspective view. Okay, to have more presentation. So I'll just put some camera here, adjust my view. So if you are used to the manual drafting, probably you know how painstaking it is to create a perspective view. You need your plan, you need so many lines, and then so many things that you need to consider. There, okay, so let's just adjust it first. Okay. Now probably let's change the display. If you want some color, you can actually display with actual materials. So for here, for this demonstration, probably I'll just change some few, like add some elements like shadows, or depends on your preference. For me, I would like it a little bit more sketchy, like this, okay? So it makes it much more like a softer tone, okay? Change my brightness. There, see. So always remember, I'm currently working on a concept. So this can be changed or modified as you go along on your design development stage. Okay, so this probably will just take me about 15 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the size of your project. I can already generate a concept. Once you have your plan, probably we'll add some annotations here. Okay, so you're already done with your 3D, and let's add some room tags. Let's put it here, here, and probably add there. Okay, additional room for the kitchen and the laundry area here. Okay. There, okay. Add some annotations, adjust. By the way, you can also make room calculations here as well during the conceptual or schematic stage. So just in case you need specific if you need to inquire for the exact size of the room, you can also do it in your BIM platform. Okay, so as you can see here, if I select a particular element, it is also selected as well on other views. So you know you are consistent of what you are selecting. Okay, make adjustment. Oops. Here, move it a little bit. Okay, some of my furnitures. Hopefully you don't judge me from my interior designer. I'm not an interior designer, but anyhow, I leave it the designing to you guys. Okay. By the way, these components that I've placed here has information. So just in case you need information, just by selecting it, you can have those data as well. So you can also embed that to your 3D model. So now, as you can see, I've already generated my plan, my 3D view, my perspective view. Okay. Now, probably I'll just adjust first the ISO presentation, make it more dramatic. I'll put some shadows. Let's see what else here. Just orient it properly here. Oh. You can also export these views as an image. So just in case you're not satisfied with the output, you can export that and probably add more enhancement using Photoshop as well. Or if you're using 3D Max, you can also export that. Okay. And other things, if you're used to, you already have a model from Sketch. Now here, let's say I'm not happy with my orientation. I can just simply switch and view it on my plan, perspective, and ISO view. Okay. There. Okay. So now, as you can see from the previous image, okay, I'll just have a short explanation from my previous slide. Okay. Now you can see here, I'm just using one application to generate my views from to generate my views for my concepts, and other 2D views like elevation, section, and the details can just follow later on using the same model and platform. With BIM interoperability, and quick changes can be done easily. So just in case you want to export that to people or using CAD, you can also do that using a BIM platform. Okay. Okay, so for my next demonstration, I will show you a better way to enhance your presentations, and with much more eye-catching visuals, you can utilize many plugins and BIM related application, which also capture what you have already created. Here is one of the many plugins in the market today that is directly integrated with Revit. If you want a better rendered image, walkthroughs, or fly-throughs. Okay, so here is one of the plugins I'll show you. Okay, this application is called Enscape. So when you have Revit, you just install it and you will automatically have this tool added to your Revit. Okay, so it is actually based on the materials from Revit, and it just showcase it and render it using Enscape. Okay, you can also change it into a different graphic display, so to make it a different effect, to make it more realistic. Okay, and to have a much more immersed visualization, you can integrate VR as well. So you can experience what it feels like inside your 3D model. It can be very integrated. Okay. By the way, the sun here, the sun setting here is also what you have set up on your application. Okay. Apparently, Escape pay me for this advertise. Okay. This is just one of the plugs that's out there, and then there's a lot more. Okay. Okay, so some of the visualization tools that is out there, other than the one that I've shown you, which is Enscape. So just what I've said, you can make walkthroughs, flight throughs, rendered images. Actually, the trees there actually is animated, and you can do a lot of things in visualizing, and especially if you're presenting to your clients. Okay, and then we also have one of the softwares that I've been using also is Fusor, which can also perform the same task that is also plugged in a plugin in Revit. And you can also, and then the important thing here when you use Fusor is that the data and information are also saved on the same file. So I mean, when you select a particular element, you can actually view some properties as well. Okay, you can also do animation or even add some video or make other dramatic effects for presentation. Okay, if you just want high render or quality renderings, there's V-Ray for Revit. Although Revit has its own rendering engine, you can further generate or have a better or more realistic images using V-Ray. Especially to those who are familiar with 3D Max, you can probably get the same result with this plugin. Okay, so if you just focus on rendering, you could use this same tool. Okay, if you want walkthrough, you can use Fusor and Enscape. But if you want, you can also search other applications or other platforms related to BIM. Okay, so it would always depend on your process or what your company or what are your requirements. Okay. Okay, so thank you, and that sums up my presentation for this session. And I hope you guys had a good outlook and overview regarding the potential of BIM in the interior design industry today. And I hope you will be on my next session as well, in which I will be discussing more about conceptual planning process and BIM studies and analysis you apply and workflow and other best practices. And now I will be accommodating for some questions.
All right, thank you very much, Sir Ray, for your introduction to BIM and practices. So for questions, just leave your questions via the Q&A button or just leave them in the chat. If we are unable to answer any of our questions live, this webinar will be answering and we'll be sending them via email, so don't you worry. So for our first question, it's from Adrian. If you use BIM for interior design, should the model already be ready with the components or elements of other trades? And when will interior design come in?
Yeah, for the platform that I'm using currently, which is Revit, or if you're using ArchiCAD as well, those are one of the two well-known BIM platforms that are being used here in the industry. There are already embedded libraries there, okay, during installation time. So you don't have to worry about how can I model a chair, a table, or how can I create walls. It's already there on the platform. So you just probably modify it or just change it in case you need to have a different model as well. So, or it depends on your requirements. Okay. Or other than that, there are also, just like I said before, you can download some libraries out there. Some manufacturers or some companies provide their own products as well. So for example, for a furniture company, some of them provide the exact specifications of their furnitures. Also in appliances. Now we also, previously we have some clients who ask for to develop libraries for them, like a parametric elevator or lift. So we integrated all these exact specifications and types for their product. So there's a lot of libraries and resources out there. You can download it as well. Okay. Other than that, it's already there on your platform. Okay.
All right. So we have a question here from Leah. She's asking, what is the minimum requirements capacity for laptops, and can you export 3D drawings from SketchUp to Revit?
Yes. Currently, for the minimum requirements, actually, if you're working on a small project, the minimum is usually you need to have i7 laptop or workstation. So i7 is usually a must. Although you can install it in a much lower processor like i5 or i3, if there's someone still using those kind of processor, you can still or probably install that. But always remember that you're working on a 3D model with information, and that comes hand in hand. So software comes together with hardware. So if you want a better performing hardware when it comes to using heavy duty software which utilizes BIM or 3D, you need to have, or a better graphics, you need to have a better workstation. But other than workstations, let's say if you just need to study or learn, probably you can install that at i5 or at least 4 gig of memory. You can still install that for study purposes only. But I would still recommend look into your platform, because there are different platforms there that requires different. For me, I'm using a gaming workstation. So usually it usually meets up those kind of standards. So you don't have to worry about those lag, as long as it can accommodate those kind of requirements. I suggest better you go directly, if you're interested to install ArchiCAD or Revit, go to their website to have a much more precise requirements. But for minimum recommended requirements, I suggest you go for i7 or at least 8 gig of RAM, for me personally. And a good graphics card would also help.
All right. So here's a question from Errol. Hi, Paperspace. I would like to ask if there are available library of models from our local furniture suppliers and for use in our BIM program. So do we have those here in the Philippines?
For some, I believe there is, but I'm not quite sure for the local brands. So because mostly of the furnitures that I know is usually is either outside of the country. But for me, technically, I would search him or ask for information, because for Philippines, it's not quite the same as other countries who implement them, their libraries. So if I were you, I will go search their website. I'll probably inquire more about that. But other than that, most of the furnitures that I know, you can go to, there's a website that is called a BIM Object. It's a direct resource library of Revit. So from there, you can find manufacturers or 3D library directly from manufacturers. And then probably you can get some more information about that if they can provide other furnitures as well, okay, or template. Other than that, it's not only focused on Revit. They can also they sometimes provide 3D Max file, CAD files, or it comes sometimes with specifications in PDF. So from there you can download directly. But other than that, here in our country, in the current in Philippines, currently it's not that widely used for some manufacturers. But I would suggest is you go and research directly to their website if they provide. Okay.
All right. So here's probably our last question that we can accommodate for this live webinar. But don't you worry, guys. All of your questions will be answered. We'll be sending them via email later on. So here's our last question from BJ. It's a technical one. So, hi, we experienced before that whenever we export an SKP model to Revit, the model became exploded, like the component is not grouped properly and vice versa. So we are having difficulty to edit the model. How can we prevent the model to explode when exporting?
Okay, you're exporting directly from SketchUp to Revit or the other way around? Or you're exporting from Revit. Okay, you're importing a SketchUp file to Revit. Is it correct? Come again.
He's exporting an SKP model to Revit, and then the model exploded. Like the component is not grouped properly, or vice versa.
Probably I would suggest, if that's the case, try to export it in a different format. So probably look in the SketchUp. Check on the other options that you can use. If it is having that kind of issue still, probably I suggest you can try to export that into a CAD file or a different platform, or work your way around to Revit, because there are some cases that the model tends to explode sometimes. So what I usually do is, if I'm using a different platform, I'll use AutoCAD as another way of format and then import that to Revit. So that's another workaround. Same with 3D Max. So in 3D Max, you can export that to FBX and then directly to Revit. Or if there's another format, you can also import that to AutoCAD, then AutoCAD to Revit. So if there's another format that you can search on SketchUp, probably use that other method as well. Okay?
All right, so that's all the time we have for the question and answer portion. Moving forward, I'll be giving it back to Sir Ray to quickly discuss what we'll be tackling next week's webinar.
Okay, I'll show you what will be our topics for the next session. Okay, so hopefully for the next session you will still be attending, because it will be a lot of interesting topics I'll be discussing. Because currently for this session is just an introduction, so at least you get an idea on how using BIM in different processes. So here for the session 2, we'll be focusing on how to generate a conceptual plan and schematic design. So from one of the videos that I've shown you, I've used there a sketch, but actually you can use CAD, or you can do directly from there. And then what kinds of analysis and studies you can perform while doing those kind of conceptualization. Okay. And then lastly, workflows and best practices. So these are practices that I have compiled, which I've generated. So probably it might help you to have a system on how you can create your own process when you do this initial phase in your design. Okay, so hope you guys learn a lot from my demonstration, and hopefully you will still have interest of learning more other than this, because we also have training sessions as well. So currently this is a webinar that helps you a better outlook on BIM, on how it performs on this industry, which is interior design. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Sir Ray. And for all of the attendees today, you know, this is just a jump start for our webinar series. Make sure to catch the second and third session. We still have slots available, but make sure to get them while you can still, since these are limited. For those who want to know more of BIM, you can check out our modules here that Sir Ray will be teaching.
Thank you.
We have our courses for beginners and also those who are in the intermediate and advanced levels. This is also to ensure that you can use BIM as a new skill to do your design practice. If you're interested, let us know by sending an inquiry at noah@paperwork.asia, or send us an SMS, or just call us at these numbers 0933-813-8905 or 0915-534-9456. All right, again, thank you very much for attending to the first session of BIM for Interior Design, Introduction to BIM and Practices. We'll see you next week for session 2.